Station, your Arkansas Artist Radio Showcase on 88.3 KABF, the voice of the people.
Flying, and we flying. Girl, pack a bag, let's take a trip. Brand new scene, escape the skits, the trials and trips, and make you sick. Stay a while or make it quick. Take some pictures, make a flick. Your face, your lips, the shape of your hips are some of the reasons I make these trips. Let's start over with our relationship. You call me your king, well you my crown. It's more than your smile, it's even your frown. You don't let anything hold you down. I do anything, let me hold you down. By now I know you know my style. Girl, I walk 1,000.
Good morning, Little Rock. It is Thursday and the week is almost over. We just have to get through today and tomorrow, and then it'll be the weekend. I know we're all excited about that to, relieve some stress and just relax. Today on the show, we have this amazing person who just, for some reason, I've known her for a little bit, and I didn't really know how great she was, Miss Star Burch. How are we doing this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Good. So recently I found out that this person who just comes over and hangs out with us like nothing's going on is actually a published author of 2 books, right?
Yes.
Of 2 books. Okay. So how long have you been writing?
Since the 3rd grade.
The 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and when you say you started writing in the 3rd grade, like what were you doing? Was it just short stories in class?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's how it started. It just started as short stories in class. I remember I wrote this story about a Native American little girl, and just after writing that short story, I was just so proud of it, and I was like, I like this. And so I kept writing, and then from there, I kind of started trying to do different things like poetry and like writing journals. And then like writing journals kind of became my thing. And then eventually I would kind of just go back and forth. So I was doing journal entries, and then I started doing poetry, and then, short stories. And then eventually that's just kind of how I do it now. I just kind of go through my phases. And so right now I'm kind of like in a journal writing phase.
Okay. And when you say journal writing phase, what does that mean?
I mean, I just kind of instead of like writing my feelings down through poetry, I write down what happened that day, and, and just talk about how I felt about it. And so that way it kind of keeps me, I guess, current in my craft and just continually growing as a writer.
Okay, that's awesome. So just a free expression of self in your journal, as opposed to trying to make it rhyme or trying to make it something.
Yeah, but not, but for me, like, I don't really like poetry that's like done with like within the bounds of regulations. I kind of like writing in free form.
Okay.
But I've learned in like taking creative writing classes at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock that sometimes having those boundaries, it makes you a better writer because it shows you, hey, I can do this too.
Right.
And so I like the challenge of that as well.
Oh, that's cool. So these 2 books, tell us about them. First of all, what are they called?
I know, right? I'm so hush about it because they were written like when I was like 21 and 23. So I honestly don't really think about them.
Right.
Because I didn't really put them out there when I wrote them. So I kind of just wrote them, was like, hey, I wrote a book. You buy it, don't buy it, whatever. I don't care. But the first one was about, the first one was called Lord Take Me and Make Something Beautiful. And basically it was just like my journal entries turned into a book, and for 1 year of my life, just talking about how my life, like the craziness of my life in that 1 year. And so then for me, I think like looking back on it and reading it now, it's kind of like, wow, I had a really crazy life. So it's pretty cool because like there's some things in there that like they're like shocking to read because people who've read it that know me, they're like, I never would have known. And so basically it's kind of like it's talking about like my struggle to figure out myself and figure out my sexual identity. And so it basically talks about how for like that 1 year I tried to like stop being a lesbian and like all the things that happened as I was trying to do that, and all the struggles and all the obstacles I had to overcome, and then like all the exes and then the new people who were against me, and just all of that.
Right.
And so then the next book was called The Art of Being, And basically it's just a book of poetry, just poetry about different things and different people, just, you know, whatever was going on in my life. And so I'm kind of in the process of writing a third book, but it hasn't really come to fruition yet, but it's in there.
It's working on it.
Yeah, I know what I want to do. Like, I want to write a devotional, but I just haven't just sat down and just wrote it because I've just been so busy with the grad school program.
Right. And speaking of your grad school program, you're at University of Arkansas, Little Rock. What are you studying?
It's called Applied Communication Studies. So basically what it is it's just the application of communication. So like learning the theories and then being able to apply them. So like I could be a mediator, or I could work for companies helping them learn how to better communicate between the employees and supervisors, just employees. Yeah.
Employees.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that work in with your, let me take a step back. What was your bachelor's in?
My bachelor's was in liberal studies.
Okay.
That's what they call it now, liberal studies. So, see, it's really funny how life works out. The plan was to get my degree in social work. And so they were like, well, yeah, just go in and get this undergrad degree in liberal studies and you can get your master's in social work. And I was like, okay. So I went in and I did history and creative writing and sociology.
Okay.
And from there, here we are now.
So you went from, I'm going to be a social worker, to, I feel like, how did that change?
It's a crazy story. All my stories are crazy. Okay, so this is what happened. People would always ask me, where are you, like, where are you going to go and what are you going to do? Like, what, you know, and I was like, so every time they would ask me, I would always be like, I'm going to do counseling.
Right.
You know, so like, because at first I was going to do social work, and then people were like, I don't think you should do that. I think you'll get burned out. And so then I was kind of like, after taking the social work class, I was kind of like, I don't know. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to do communication. And that's what would always happen. People would ask me and I would just be like, I'm going to do communication. And I would stop and I'd be like, I'm not doing communication. I'm doing counseling. Why do I keep on saying communication? And so then finally one day I was walking on campus and I just was like, let me pray about this. Let me ask God and see why I keep on doing this. And so I prayed about it, and he was like, because you're going to do communication, not counseling. And so then from that moment on, I was like, I'm doing communication.
Right.
And so then the plan was to go to Ohio State, and then the program wasn't really what I wanted. And so then I was talking to my advisor on campus, and she was like, well, just go talk to the people over here and see what they're saying and what they have going on over there, and we'll go from there. And so I was like, okay, cool, let's do that. And so then I went over there. I talked with one of the professors over there. I talked to the grad school advisor, and then I just fell in love with their program, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. This is what I want to do, right? I ain't going nowhere. This is it. And so then here we are now.
Wow. So you just completely changed what you were going to do.
Yeah.
And how does all of this affect your writing?
You know, it does. I didn't really think about it until right now, but it really does, because it's sharpening my skills as a writer, as more of a technical writer.
Okay.
So I'm no longer doing creative writing for the sake of creative writing. I'm doing more technical writing and more academic writing. And so I find that even though I'm like, I don't really like doing it, I feel like I really thrive there as well. Because people are always telling me, I really enjoy reading your paper. And I'm like what am I doing so different from everybody else? I'm just a writer. You know, and so then for me, it's kind of weird, because I was talking to my friend the other day about this, and I was just like, you know, it doesn't matter to me if I'm published in a magazine or a journal or anything like that. I was like, because I know I'm a good writer. But then she was like, but you know what? It's important, though. It's important for whatever you want to do. So it's really great to hear that people enjoy reading, you know, my papers, because that gives me a chance to believe that when it does come time to actually have to write journal articles for when I want to get into the PhD program, I know that I have a better chance of getting into these journals. Okay.
And when you do pursue your PhD, where's that going to go?
Well, right now I'm thinking public health. So like I'm really big into eating healthy and a plant-based diet, and I'm really frustrated with the system and how they focus on cancer prevention through medications instead of just eating right. there's this quote that says, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." So if we eat right, there's no need for medicine. And so with this program, we learn how to I guess communicate with people, or figure out how best to communicate with people, how to get them to understand that, hey, this is what you need to do. And so I'm excited about that, but that's a long ways off. I won't graduate until 2015.
From your graduate program?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's not too far out. It's in 2013 already. It's November.
Let's not talk about that.
It is November.
Let's not talk
and
about
it's
that.
just, this year has flown by. But explain to us a little bit more about, you talk about a plant-based diet and eating raw. What does that mean? What is that?
Well, eating raw is basically just doing it like the animals do it. They don't cook their food, so why do we? You know, it's all about like living foods. And so for me, I realized, you know, if we're living beings, then our food should be living as well. And so it's basically just focusing on eating raw fruits and vegetables and fruits that haven't been cooked, haven't been processed, you know, no sugar, no white salt, anything like that. Just keeping it just true to nature. My saying is, if God created it, that's what you should eat. If it came from a plant, if it came from a pharmacy, if it came from, you know, a chemistry, we shouldn't be eating that. And so then the plant-based diet is basically just that, just more fruits and vegetables, less meat. If you're gonna eat meat, eat lean meat, eat meat from a farmer's market. Somehow, some way you're able to know exactly what you're eating. You're able to go to that farm, shake that farmer's hand. If you want to be so inclined, you can go out there and kill your own chicken.
Right. So at what point in time did you make this decision? Or like, did you grow up, your family, were they vegetarian or vegan?
No. I'm quite the rebel. Honestly and truthfully, for me, everything in my life has really just been kind of guided by God. So that's even the same way. At 12, I had this desire to become a vegetarian, but it was really hard because I'm from Texas. And so we ate meat.
All the time.
Yeah, meat was being eaten. We may not have vegetables. We may not have had vegetables that day, but we had meat.
Yes.
So they tried to encourage it, and they would buy me salads, but you know, salads get old.
Yeah, they
so
real quick.
Yeah, so I only lasted about 6 months at 12, but then when I got out the military, when I was 23, I started again after I turned 24. Yeah, so he was like, it's time to go back to being a vegetarian. So I was like, okay, and I struggled with it. So I would always say, I'm an aspiring vegetarian.
That's a good way to put it.
Because I'm still eating meat. I just wouldn't eat it as much.
Right.
And so then last year, you know, January 1st, he was like, okay, it's time to become a vegan. So then I was like, I'm an aspiring vegan. Because I was still eating meat.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was still eating meat, but I just wouldn't eat it as much. And so then finally, unfortunately, this is kind of embarrassing to say, but the very last time that I had a piece of meat was this year. It was in June, and the thing of it is that I wasn't around my support system. I was back at home in Texas. I was hungry, and my friends they were eating chicken, and I was just like, I'm really hungry right now. I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna do this just this one time. And after that last time, I knew I was done. It was Church's chicken.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You went all in.
Yeah, I went all in. Yeah. And so my stomach was kind of like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And then I had a headache, and I was just like, okay, yeah, my body's ready. It's time to let go. And I haven't had anything since then.
And that's definitely takes willpower and determination just to say, for anything to say, I'm not going to do this. Something I've been doing all my life.
Yes.
To say I'm not going to do this. So I commend you, because I am an aspiring vegetarian right now, but still working on it. It can be difficult, especially the fish and the chicken.
Well, see, for me, it was the shrimp and the chicken. I love shrimp. I love shrimp. Yeah. And so apparently, unbeknownst to me, I'm allergic to seafood or shrimp or something. I didn't even know, but apparently I'm allergic.
And how did you find that out?
I ate some shrimp from Whole Foods, and it wasn't cooked. It was fresh, and or maybe it was cooked, but it wasn't like, you know, it was fresh. And the next morning, I woke up and like my face was swollen.
Wow.
Yeah, my eyes were almost swollen shut, and yeah. And I went to the doctor, and she was just like, well, yeah.
Okay.
But I had it again after that, and sure enough, it was the shrimp.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, that's one way to make sure. That really is. That's funny. But I'm glad you're not having to suffer from that anymore. Wouldn't want to ruin your face. But okay, so you are first. Now I'm shocked. She's still telling me stuff I didn't know. You're in the military.
I was in the military. Yes.
When did that happen?
Another crazy story. I have a lot of them. I got out of high school, or actually, no, let's dial it back. I was in high school, senior year. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I was just like, military. Sounds good. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I can travel. Let's do that. And so then one day I was in the cafeteria and I saw him. I remember like it was yesterday. He was just sitting there with his big little banner on top of him, and he had one of his crisp blues, and I saw this Air Force, recruiter, and I was like, you're just the person I want to see. I want to sign up. And so there was a little bit of struggle to get into the military because when I went to get my this is a tough story right here. So when I went to get everything taken care of and my body looked at and everything and checked, they found a lump on my breast. And so at 17, there was this whole fear of having breast cancer. And so for me, that's kind of what also inspired me to change my diet. So like that, there was that, and then having to go through that, and then the biopsy, and then figuring out it wasn't cancerous, and then eventually I got in. And so at first my parents were like, I don't know. My mom was like, yeah. My dad was like, I don't know. But then he saw how passionate I was about it, how I really wanted to do it. And so he was like, yeah, this will be good for you. This will be good. And so now that I'm out, he's like, it really did calm her down. It really did change her. She's not as wild. She's more settled. It was good for her.
Wow. And so he's saying you're not as wild now. Okay. I don't even know what you were like before.
You really don't. Because I mean, like, I still give off the vibe of a wild child. I still give off the vibe of being a free spirit. People see me all the time and they're like, hey. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, I'm innocent. I'm pure, and they be like, I don't believe it. It's just something about me that just gives off this vibe that I'm a free spirit. And I'm not. I'm a prude.
Okay, sorry.
I'm serious. My parents, my grandparents, I have a minister's background. So I'm supposed to be a minister. But yeah.
Yeah, right. But even still, like, you may not be a wild child per se, but I definitely, when talking to you, you just, like you say, you just write, you flow.
Yeah, I just flow.
You just flow, and that's what people see.
Yeah, and I mean, but the thing of it is, like I said, like for me, the flowing just comes from my personal relationship with God. It's just like that understanding of knowing that whatever happens, it's meant to be, and whatever happens, He's there. He's got me. I don't have to stress. I don't have to worry. It's just going to happen the way it's supposed to.
Right.
And so it's able for me to kind of just flow because I have that knowledge of just being the apple of His eye, being completely spoiled by Him, and I don't have to worry.
Right.
Like I've just been completely blessed. I don't want to brag, but I'm just gonna brag. Like going into the military, as hard as it was for me, like it has totally been a blessing. I was kicked out because of the book that I wrote. I just want to put that out there because this was during the time of don't ask, don't tell. Okay. And so yeah, I was kicked out for that, and but it didn't matter because I ended up getting discharged. And they tried not to give me my honorable discharge, but I fought that and I got it, and so I was able to get disability. So I got disability, and so then they paid for my undergraduate degree, and then because I was in the military, my GI Bill is paying for my master's degree. Right. So I don't have to work. I just work to have extra money. So that kind of also adds into the whole being able to just kind of just be carefree and not stress. And so that's why I'm just really passionate about all these things because like I know what my relationship with Him has done for my life.
Right.
And that's why I'm able to be this way, and people don't make the connection always. I'm not like this because I'm like this because it's been developed by trusting and by building a relationship.
That's beautiful. Awesome. See, I'm always learning stuff about you, Star.
I'm definitely an onion. You gotta just peel back the layers.
Well, you have not made me cry yet, so I'm good. But so you were in high school. You grew up in Houston, Texas, eating meat. You went to the Air Force and you wrote your book, got kicked out. What happened in between getting kicked out in your second book?
And not a crazy story.
Okay.
But so I prayed about it, and I was like, I really want to get out. If I can get out, let me get out. And so I was able to get out, and I went home for like 5 months. I got a job, and it was okay, but I knew that I was meant to be here. And I told my pastor that I knew I was meant to be here, and so some things had went down in Texas. I was out there acting a fool, when he called me and was like, when you coming back?
Right.
And I was like, I'm on my way. And so I quit my job like within like that week or the next week, and I was back here by the middle of August. And this was like 2006. So I didn't have anywhere to stay. I ended up staying at my friend's house for like a month, and I prayed about it. I was like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, go get a job at Dillard's. I didn't want to work at Dillard's. I didn't want to work there. I tried to get jobs everywhere else. I went to Dillard's and on the spot got the job. I was like, okay, Lord, okay, you win again. So then like that's it. I worked there for about 8 months, I think, 6 to 8 months. I can't remember now. And I quit because I ended up having a volatile relationship with my manager. We were just too much alike. And after that, I just was like, okay, it's time. I'm not ready, but it's time. And so I got back in school, and I got a job working at a hotel overnight, and I went to school during the day. I was a busy little bee.
But you're doing what you got to do. So you said you came back. When did you first come to Little Rock?
I was stationed here in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where I got stationed.
So you're in Jacksonville.
Yes.
And that's how you ended up here the first time.
Because I remember like I wanted to be stationed back in Texas or Africa. And so when they told me Little Rock, I was like, Little Rock? Like what is...
I was just down in Texas. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm that, and so being here now almost 11 years, I'm really glad that I came here. It was just what I needed to find myself. It was, it wasn't fast. It wasn't too slow, but it was enough for me to kind of experience life and make mistakes and not end up dead.
Yeah, that's always good. Not dead is good.
Because, I'm very charismatic, and I'm a free spirit, and that's just a bad mix in Houston. Yeah.
So how is your relationship with Houston now? Like, do you visit often? Do you go see your parents, or are you just kind of here doing you?
Well, I'm a lovable child, so they do miss me, and they're always trying to get me to come home. I try to make between 1 to 3 trips a year, but that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, spring break, and then maybe Thanksgiving, and maybe Christmas.
Okay.
And yeah. And other than that, I'm pretty much just here doing whatever it is I'm doing that week.
Well, that's always awesome, just to be able to just live it. That's what you're doing. And then you have these books. Tell us the name again.
Lord, take me and make something beautiful with my life. And the other one is The Art of Being.
And they were published by Publish America. And you can find them on Amazon.com and probably at Barnes & Nobles.
Yeah, BarnesandNoble.com.
Yeah. So you definitely have to check those out if you want to learn a little bit more about Miss Star Burch. That's just, I never say your last name, so it's just weird. Just weird. You're just Star.
Yeah, exactly. Just Star. Just Star.
She twinkles. She shines. Anyway. But thank you so much for coming on the show today. I had fun, and maybe we can have you on again, talk about some more of your crazy stories.
Oh yeah, always.
Yes. So when should we be expecting this new book? In like a year, 2 years?
Cue the music.
All right. Well, thank you, Little Rock, for listening. And always, it's been a pleasure having your ears on what's going on in Arkansas. Please check out the new Crafting Conversations website. It's craftingconversations.org. It's up and running, and it looks beautiful. And if you go on the website, you can get a link to our YouTube page to listen to our previous shows and this one once we put it up, and it'll be great and awesome. And have a great rest of your day.